Welcome to Raising the Curve, a podcast designed to teach you everything you need to know to be better with your money. In the wise words of Amy Schumer, we're slipping carrots into the brownie recipe.
I don't really get the saying.
It's kind of like eating vegetables that actually taste good. You know, like putting
Still
carrot
not
in the
with
brownie
you.
recipe.
Are you on the script?
It's basically like saying investing in finance can be boring as but it totally doesn't need to be.
Okay. So we're making it fun by putting the carrot, aka the vegetables, which are good for you, into the brownie recipe.
Okay, we got there, okay.
Okay.
Wow, you've really got a finance brain.
Yeah, one of us has to.
This is true. Okay, come and learn alongside me from Vic Harris, ex-fund manager, where I'm going to ask all the questions that you wish you could.
And I'm going to be eating all the brownie you wish you could.
No, that's so not the joke, Vic.
Oh.
Okay, just come and talk and learn and laugh with us because together we really can raise the curve.
Sorry.
Vic's yawning. And she's yawning because it's been a big old week.
It's been a long day. Working with Soph, Hallwright. Gosh, no jokes. I'm joking.
So
it's not you.
rude.
It's not you. It's the day. It is the fact that we were up at about 5 this morning.
Well, we're going back to London and technically when this podcast comes out, I'll be in the air.
Yeah.
But we've been on breakfast TV, which I must tell you, I was very proud of us for. But we also had our event, which was at Webb's auction house, and it was kind of a whirlwind organisational situation, wasn't it?
Oh, gosh, it was so good, though. Our first live podcast event, which meant no swearing and no ums or likes or even though...
I was going to say, I think we did all of that.
Yeah, I know. It's like we did all of the above. But no, it was really amazing to be able to have an event while we were in New Zealand and our only event. And
it was
the turnout was amazing.
It was quite amazing.
The jewels we got to wear. Yeah.
Gosh, honestly, it was like at one point someone was like, "Oh, is that a new bracelet?" I was like, "Yeah, I own this Tiffany & Co bracelet." Absolutely not.
Yeah, it was quite incredible. Felt very luxurious. But yes, we spoke about investing. Do you know the number of people that were like, "Were you talking about investing in art and jewellery?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what the event was." They're like, "But you?" I was like, no. Okay.
I was like,
I know my expertise is in stocks and property, so
it's probably because they've seen that horrendous painting you've got in your house,
or the lack of paintings and the bare walls, and the fact that I pretty much wear no jewellery. And anyway, but it was an opportunity for people to learn how to invest outside of stocks and property. So in luxury items. So we're talking like jewellery, wine, watches, art, like all the real fun stuff.
It was quite funny because my dad was front and centre. Like he made his way to the front row with his darling wife, Kathy, and the two of them were giggling like no. I actually had to tell them to shush at one point.
Yeah, it was quite cute.
So loud.
Biggest supporters.
But we have to say thank you to all the amazing sponsors who made this podcast and also the event happen, because actually getting all that technical gear so that we could record on the night was quite a mish.
Yeah. But firstly, I think thank you to Webb's. I mean, gosh, they know how to put on an event.
Don't they?
I mean, we have done events before, but
what a shambles they were.
Call them events after being this event. It was the most beautiful space, the most beautiful array of artwork and luxury items, the staff, the location, everything.
It was
just nailed to a T, and would hands down do an event there again.
Yeah, it was so great. And secondly, the reason I was almost had too much to drink. Oh my gosh, that Veuve was just delicious, wasn't
Veuve
it?
Clicquot, they were pouring champagne all night, which was beautiful, and a great alignment personally, I think, because of what Madame Clicquot has done for Veuve Clicquot and how she built that brand up and everything, I think is...
Because her husband died and she took the business over.
Yeah.
It's like quite incredible.
Kind of like female empowerment.
Yeah. We had Almighty, our favourite sparkling waters. They're my favourite drink. They're my favourite drink, even thinking about margaritas. I might
and if
also...
they didn't make me gassy, then I'd probably have one a day.
Like hates to burp. It's a real...
It would be my choice of water every day. I hate a bit. Oh.
Okay, anyway.
Sorry.
Almighty's don't make you burp, by the way.
Sorry.
That's just
Yeah, that's just me. No, they are delicious.
Thirdly, batch cocktails.
Which is an espresso martini that you can just pour out. I mean...
It was so yummy.
Yeah.
You just pour over ice, like shake over ice. Anyway, delicious, so yummy.
The cupcakes and the tarts.
Oh, yeah.
For more.
Oh, yeah, yummy.
Yeah.
Also, just a quick thank you to Eve Wellness for giving us those chill pills for the goodie bags.
Aotea. Oh,
most beautiful lip balm.
And Goldie was the last sponsor who, so they've got this great platform where you can buy gold, really. So
sounds too good to be
but
true.
You can buy a portion of a gold bullion.
It's similar to Sharesies or any of the other
trading platforms,
except you're buying commodities, you're buying gold
real assets, which is quite a good alignment, I thought, with the whole investing in luxury items. So they gave everyone a little voucher as well. So if you are interested in any of those brands or anything, then
we'll thank them in the show notes. Yeah, we love them.
But
also. Anyway. Fuck you for not buying a ticket.
Yeah. We'll have one next year.
No, but in all seriousness, thank you to everyone who came. It was really special seeing everyone in one room.
Great questions, all of that was
yeah. And we are going to jump to that conversation. There is one moment in there that I had a bit of a blowout where I accidentally called a Birkin a burqa. We'll just have to, I don't think we can edit that out.
And I got the giggles.
So bad. I didn't even realise what I'd done. I was like, wait, what if you buy an orange burqa? Is that going to be worth less in the future? And I was like,
honestly, and I was looking at you like, and you were like, what? What have I done? And I was like, do you want me to repeat it? Because I mean.
Anyway, that was my only mouth fart, Other than that, it was good.
Yeah, no, it was great.
I'm never using the word mouth fart again. That was horrible.
Too much gas chat in this
intro. Sorry.
So, give it a listen.
Today, we're going to delve into art and investing in art as well as jewels and luxury items. Yeah. And I think we're going to do art first, right?
Yeah, focus first.
Yeah. Okay. We should have told everyone our plan.
So, Soph.
Oh, yes.
If you were to invest in anything outside of stocks and property, what would you invest in?
I love old school cars. I've always wanted one. And apparently there's this company over in Europe that are turning old school cars into electric cars, which is kind of amazing.
That's so up your alley. Saving the planet and vintage cars. Yeah.
I would rather buy that than a house, honestly.
Yeah.
I would.
Just live in your car.
What would you buy? Do you know what I wouldn't put it past myself? If I could get some really good bivouac off the side.
Hey, saving rent, you'd be, perfect.
Amazing.
Could Airbnb the back seat, Sorry. Be great. Yeah.
Jeez.
What would I would probably invest in jewellery.
I was about to say, the Cartier, that are like the ring that you're wearing, but the bangles. I've always thought when I'm in a position to spend that much money, I would love to buy one, but I just don't trust myself banging into shit all the time.
I just feel like I could literally wear baggy jeans and put on a nice piece of jewellery and instantly feel like $1 million, it elevates my mood, my confidence and all of that. So, I would love to be able to invest in more jewellery. Plus, how cool of investment if you get to wear it and actually use it. And, so that would be what I would do,
I think that if I was to invest in something outside of the stock market, I'd love to buy a house. But I also think there's some artists that I do really like. I just don't think I have a clue what to look for when it comes to something that's going to grow in value. There's a few artists. I love Nick Hearn. He does this, is it Hearn or Hurd? Or Hey.
So when it comes to art as an investment, my burning question is what kind of things should we be looking for? Say I had $5,000 and I wanted that to grow over time. What should I be looking for with art? Because personally, I think art is quite subjective.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it is. So I always say to people, you should buy something you like. First and foremost, you want something that you're going to enjoy having on the walls, because I guess that's another form of investment. How much is it worth to you having something on your walls for 5 years? But there are, of course, certain things that I think you can look out for. Ideally, you'd probably maybe do a bit of research, come to some auctions, go to some galleries, kind of see what artworks are selling for. If you're sort of really looking for an investment level artwork, I would say someone that, you've seen their artworks have sold before at auction or at a gallery. You see all the red pins and okay, this person is popular, people like them. It's probably something that I'll be able to sell in the future and someone will want to buy it. There's some here like Richard Colleen or Bill Hammond, people that are kind of quite well known, even if it's like a print or something like that, at that sort of, few $1,000s, you might be looking at, if it is a print, say, the edition. So at the bottom, there's usually written, it's, number 5 of 20, or it might be number 5 of 500. And so if it's 5 of 20, it's probably worth more. People, because people have there's not many around.
I was about to say, can you maybe liken that to the stock market? And if a company...
I was just about to.
We've done a few podcasts before.
I would say, and correct me if this is wrong, but investing in a well-known artist that that the art is going to hold its value or increase in value would be like investing in a real stable big company like a Microsoft, Amazon. It's been around for a while. It's a household brand. Everyone uses it. The value of that company is much more easily determined, I guess, or is going to hold its value throughout
established
cycles.
As well.
It's
so it's like it's already got value.
Versus if I was going and finding a really unique company and going from gallery to gallery, finding a new upcoming artist or something like that would be like searching
research, see what other works they've got, who they are, understand a little bit more about the person that's created something. See how much work they have and how much it's going for. What other kind of key things should you think about if you're going to invest in an artist purely from an investment standpoint? So not just buying something that you like and you think looks cute. Because I imagine there'd be people who buy things and chuck it in the bathroom because they're like, this is hideous. I would like to this is a good investment, but I'm putting it in the bathroom, And then there's
actually, you shouldn't do that with art because bathroom is not good conditions. It's
really?
Too damp.
That'll go down in value.
Oh my God. Good to know.
One thing you should do is take care of your artworks by not putting them in the bathroom, probably.
So if you see art in the bathroom, you know that people hate that. They must be like, oh, it's ugly, that's ugly.
But I guess how the artwork, the condition of it is important to consider. You'd want to make sure it's either well framed or you might get that done after you've bought it. Don't hang it in the sun, that kind of thing, to make sure it doesn't fade. And I think really the best thing to do would just be for even 6 months before you buy something, to just go around, talk to people, look at the catalogues.
Is it kind of like, if you're buying from a gallery, is probably a bit more risky because versus buying it at an auction house where there's almost a support price because you have rebought it. You've bought it to resell it. Do you know what I mean? Like this, that you wouldn't buy something that's not worth.
Because there's like an existing value, right? It's like you've got a bracket of this is sort of worth 2,000 to 5,000 rather than
it's like it got that little tick of approval. So you're like, okay, cool. I know that this is the price that it's worth.
Yeah, right. I guess the way we determine our prices is kind of by the market, like people buying them. That's how we, how something is done in the past is how we then price it.
Yeah.
So it sort of does have, I guess, an existing, like you say, an existing thing that we can look at. Whereas a gallery, it's more like the company that you're talking about, that kind of unknown company that's more, not the Microsoft, basically. Someone that might be in 50 years, it might be worth 10 times more than it was, but it might not be. And that's okay if you've had it on your wall and you've enjoyed it for 50 years.
Yeah. Do you have any really great success stories? Because I feel like, of course, there's times where you might spend a lot of money on something and then it's never something that other people want to buy. And so I guess that's almost why you buy something you enjoy, right? Because the return on investment is enjoying the piece of artwork opposed to...
It's not just monetary.
Yeah. For example, with the stock market, when Vic talks about things, she might explain a concept till the cows come home and I'm not really paying attention. And then she'll be like, but... there was this one person who did X, Y, Z. Is there any stories of people that you know who maybe are of a similar age or have a similar amount of money to spend who have bought something and then 5 or 10 years later they've come back to you and resold it and they've made money?
Yeah, I mean, like the Hammond print that I was kind of talking about earlier, he's become very popular, Bill Hammond, if you're not familiar. He paints a lot of birds. I think we sold one of those around 2012 for about $1,000, and it's not the exact same one, but we have the same print, it's a different number. In this auction, I think it's estimated 3 to 6. So that's about, just over 10 years, and was more than doubled. At a higher scale, we did an auction last year actually, which was called 20, and it was had brought together 20 artworks by 20 artists who we had noticed in the past couple of years had specifically the investment potential had risen. So it wasn't so much that they'd been climbing steadily, throughout the past 50 or 30 years. It was that in those past few years they'd kind of shot up. And one of them is Adele Younghusband. So she was a modernist painter, 50s and 60s. Lots of female painters from that time, unfortunately, didn't do as well as their male peers for obvious reasons, I would say. Yeah.
Bizarre.
But I think there's a picture of it going up here, which is why it prompted me. But Webb sold that painting in the late 90s, I think for around 18,000, and then that person sold it again in 2012, maybe for about 45,000. And then last year we sold it again for, I think, 130,000.
Whoa.
So yeah, it went up a lot in that time.
That's only like 30 years.
Yeah, it was a lot over a short amount of time.
And so is there a time frame when it comes to art that you should be holding it for like a minimum, or
I think it would depend on the artist.
Yeah. Okay.
So if it was someone who was very sought after and reputable, maybe you would only need to wait like a few years, 5 years. But if it was someone that was kind of an up and coming artist and that you thought, I think they're going to be big, and 30 years, or when they're still making work, they're still new, and then at that point they'll have an established career, that might be more of a long-term investment.
I really want to ask what's in your art portfolio, but I'm not sure if that's rude.
No, you can ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to
she's
pen and
open.
paper.
I'm like, right. So how do you value a portfolio? Is it what you've spent it on?
Is it only when you come to sell it that you realise that value?
You can get an insurance valuation, and then its market value is slightly different. I guess not necessarily. Just when you sell it, you still hold the value of those artworks. If there was like a flood in your house, you should get compensated for what you paid for them, I would say, or more potentially. But yeah, I have collected a few artworks while I work here. Luckily, I don't buy everything.
Okay, so you see a piece of art and you think, wow, that's amazing. What goes through your mind before you purchase something?
I follow my own advice and buy artwork that I really like because I am surrounded by it a lot. I've learnt to withhold and only buy what I'm like, I must have it. But yeah, I have some, they're mainly actually women contemporary artists that I've chosen to add to my collection. One is a painter, Imogen Taylor. She's an artist that I've admired for a long time, and I feel like I got it for a good price. It was at auction. Yeah, and her works don't come up to auction because she's so new.
It was vaguely, even just
around 5,000.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And so you invested in that and you thought, I love it so much. This is an investment in my enjoyment, and also I love the artist and I want to support her, and if it goes up in value, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't have it in mind that I think necessarily in 10 years it'll be worth a lot more, but the amount of joy that I can get from having it in my house is worth something that if I can just sell it, if I wanted to sell it one day and I got 7,000, 6,000, I'd be okay with that.
It's like a hanging emergency fund.
I was about to say, it's kind of like, how boring to have it in a term deposit when you could just have it hanging on your wall. Very exciting.
Yes, very exciting. We would love to welcome the fabulous Christine Power to the stage. She is head of fine jewels, watches and luxury accessories. What a job title.
I know.
My God.
Do you know what, Christine? I think investing in jewels, bags, that entire space honestly feels too good to be true. The idea that you can invest in an Apple share, amazing, cool, you have it on a computer, whatever. If you can buy an amazing, beautiful handbag and actually wear it, or can you not wear it?
So my thing is, yes, you can absolutely wear it, because the thing is, you've got to invest in something that you absolutely love. You've got an emotional attachment to it. There's something about your personality that's going to come out when you purchase that piece.
Okay. Look, as someone that doesn't look after their stuff very well, do you honestly think if it's a Friday night, you've gone out for a few cocktails, you think your outfit looks cute and you're like, do you know what, I'm going to grab my Louis Vuitton handbag. Is that a bad idea? Like, should it be left in cotton wool in a beautiful Princess Diaries, like, cabinet? Or can we actually wear some of these jewels and brands?
You can absolutely wear them because, as I say, if you're going to respect it and look after, obviously you've got to be a little bit mindful, more so with a bag, but with jewels and watches, you can absolutely wear that to the nth degree and look after it. A bag, yes, you're going to be a little bit mindful about where you might place it in a restaurant or on a table, but yeah, certainly with jewels.
Gosh.
What did you say, Mike? Attach it to you. That is something I should do.
That'd make it decrease in value.
Security tag, just so that if I put it down, it's attached to my arm.
So if we would just have 1 million ear tags in her Louis Vuitton.
One moment, everyone, I'm just tracking my bag.
I've lost it. Yeah.
So you can wear it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It doesn't decrease in value if you wear it?
Essentially, no.
Yeah.
Because what we're pricing for you when you come to us here, we're looking at the intrinsic value of that item. So we're essentially looking at what a market value is on that piece, and then we're going to tailor our estimates to an amount that's very similar or below that. So when you buy something, it is actually going to be very suited to current price. So if you're just starting out, my first piece of advice is buy a gold piece of item. Start there and then expand your portfolio. Then start moving into gemstones because there's particular stones within those families that are actually going to give you more return than others. But also, the key thing that I always say is always go back to what you love.
Oh my God, sorry, I've got heaps of questions.
You go.
I was just wondering in terms of gems. Diamonds, rubies, shitty diamantes. Like, how do you know the difference between what they're worth and if they're increasing in value? So if you were to then go and purchase a piece of jewellery that had a gemstone, are there particular stones that go up more than others? How do you know?
Essentially there are, because obviously natural stones are mined, and at some point in the world a mine is going to be exhausted. And there's certain regions that have elements within those areas that are synonymous with those gemstones. So in the likes of rubies, for example, a Burmese ruby.
Sorry, that sounds really stupid, but are Burmese rubies like mined in
Burma?
It's like quite incredible, isn't it, to think? And so you can look at a stone and say, this is from this part of the world.
There is, but there's obviously got to be associated paperwork with that.
Oh, okay.
But there is obviously a certain colour. And then with a Burmese, which is the pigeon blood, that is the most desired colour within a ruby. And then with emeralds, more so with the Colombian side of things, which is the more well-known side of it, there is an area which is the muso, and that has a particular shade within those emeralds, which is synonymous to that emerald. And you can't simulate that. They haven't found any other areas within the world that actually produce that kind of colour range and tone.
Wow. If I was to choose between watches, jewellery or handbags, and say I had, $10,000, what would be the best place for that money in terms of return?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a good question. And it's a question I get asked a lot.
Yeah.
And I would say diversify it a little.
Okay.
Because there's no assurity out there that you are going to make X on something. But there, as I said to you, there are certain particular models or designs within those brands that are going to give you a better return. So I would say so start out with
gold,
something,
okay.
and it's got an associated brand with it as well. So you really can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So you're wearing Tiffany & Co. this evening, and then you've got that diamond element to it. So
brand plus
Correct.
plus gold, for example, if I was starting
Correct.
out. Yeah.
But then not to take away from, say, an unbranded gold item either, because we're always assessing what the gold price is per gram. We're always going to give our estimates a little bit below essentially that.
Yeah.
If you hold on to that item, you're going to be able to wear it, enjoy it, have it as part of your wardrobe, and then say within 5 years, you might say, okay, I'm a little bit tired of that one and I'm going to change it out. And you absolutely can, and you're potentially going to either return and get the same money, or if not, if the gold price has moved, and this is where I'd say to you, have a look at what that is doing all the time, because it is something that you can analyse and assess.
So would it be Google price of gold right now?
Yeah, so you can, exactly.
I'm sorry, but why would I ever buy shares again? I don't know why I would ever buy stocks.
Gosh.
I want to buy jewellery.
It's quite transparent in our industry, and it is something that can be really measured. I find it that I just love
I'm just
watching.
like imagining Soph coming to the office
Turning
next
to
week
work,
and she's just like dripping in
chokers
gold.
and
She's like, I pulled all my money out of Milford and I put it into gold. And I'm
I
like,
would
oh
do
God.
that. If I do that, can you tell me not to? Like, could you just make sure that you're going over the top, actually? Stop it.
I want to come back to the part you said about the mining for the diamonds, and just with the whole
Growing diamonds versus mining them. Were you going there?
No.
Ignore that.
No, I was just thinking about, with ethical investing, and we always talk about, for a lot of people, choosing investments that align with their values and their ethics. And part of that for a lot of people is investing in companies that are having a positive impact on the environment. Is there such a thing where you can wear diamonds that have been ethically sourced or have been mined in a way that is better for the planet, or not having as much of an impact on the planet?
Sure.
Yeah.
So for those in the industry, you will often hear the term the Kimberley process.
Okay.
So what that means is that any mined stone has to be signed off through that process. So essentially, you're not buying a blood diamond.
Yeah.
To be honest, there isn't.
Sorry, can I just ask you, Blood Diamond is a movie with a very hot actor in it. What does that actually mean?
So it just,
I thought it was a bit of
means
a...
that obviously there's some mine. There isn't actually, to be fair, there isn't actually that many out there.
It's like a dirty diamond. Like a criminal diamond?
It's essentially not following the ethics and the standards to the industry.
Okay.
So what is so beautiful about our industry is De Beers, obviously, which a lot of you would already know that name, has been a key player within the industry and established a lot of guidelines and a lot of ethics and had to put back into those communities. So when miners actually do a particular indentation into the world, they are going to provide back. So they are going to give back, and then you will find this in Africa as well, that they give a lot back to those communities. They really reinvest and redevelop. And there's really a big one with women as well, because in Africa, women, as we know, are not necessarily employed as much as men. And so they do a lot to invest into women owning business, and then women actually doing what we're doing here and talking about investments and establishing themselves.
Wow. Gosh, interesting.
So in terms of the diamond industry, correct me if I'm wrong, but engagement rings came about, and the idea of wearing diamonds are a girl's best friend. It was an advertising scheme from a jewelry designer. So would you say the most expensive or the most valuable stone is still a diamond, or are there other gems or jewels that are actually more expensive or more valuable?
Yeah. It's a big question, that one, and there's usually a lot of answers to that one, but certainly diamond pricing has a slight volatility depending on what the market is doing. From my period, and again I'm going back to how long I've been in the industry, from when I started to what the diamond pricing was back then per carat to what it is now, it has changed exponentially. And if I had known that way back yonder and invested back then, I would have made a lot of money. So yes, diamonds are probably a key one, and again, touching back on, there's certain gemstones as well that you should invest in. And then there obviously is the element of pink. So when a mine, as I touched on before, becomes exhausted and they can no longer produce any of those, then obviously that's going to have a certain value attached to it as well. So yeah, we do see obviously quite a broad range within that here as well.
So if I was comparing two diamonds, say 2 diamond rings, what should I be looking for in terms of, like, I don't even know the first thing about, like, is it the cut? Is it the clarity? Is it, how do I tell one is more expensive than the other apart from the size? of the stone, what else should I be looking
Imagine
for?
if someone gave you a present and it was actually what's
fake
the
diamond.
zirconian something or other? Cubic something or other? Like, how do you know if
Cubic
it's
zirconia,
yeah. How do you know how
mean,
valuable it is?
We've all heard about the 4 C's, but my big one is choosing
What? Clarity, carat,
the colour, the clarity, and
the cut, the colour.
Yes, the cut.
What's
colour.
the most expensive of all the above?
Mine would be the cut.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And then second to that would be the clarity. Those are my 2 big things, because particularly if you're looking at a ring on somebody, it's something that you're going to see how well it's finished. And by that we mean the scintillation of the stone. And there's certain cuts that can refract better than others. And my favourites are the more elongated cuts, of which I'm wearing an emerald cut diamond here this evening. So I like that more symmetry in a stone. And then if you're going to do that way, then you do want to go a higher colour and higher clarity.
What's the most expensive piece of jewellery that Webb's has?
In my time that I've been here, we've had a couple of solitaire rings. Some of you may have seen a particular pear cut last year, which got a little bit of media attention.
What are we talking?
Oh my gosh, what
Tens
happened?
of
I
thousands,
missed the
hundreds of
media
thousands?
attention.
That was into the mid 2s. And that's
2
2
million?
million.
No, 200.
I was like, gosh.
and
I'm surprised there's
beautiful-
not security guards around.
Beautiful stone.
Yeah,
Gorgeous cut.
Yeah.
One of the best pear cuts I've seen in my life.
Amazing.
And then, there's the Ashoka diamond as well. That one has actually been something that I've always coveted, and in my history within the industry is one of the cuts that I really love the most.
Could you imagine if someone proposed and you were like, I'm sorry, this is a bad investment. Actually, you need to get a different ring.
The cut's not right, the clarity's not right.
Yeah, like the colour's not refracting very well.
I went to a live podcast with the curve and I know my stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I feel like I've just learned a lot
I'm also now quite nervous.
about what you're wearing.
Yeah. Aside from monetary value, there's definitely a return on investment in terms of
Yeah, you feel
the
expensive.
emotional return on this investment.
And then the other thing I would say too, without giving us a big plug, is if you are just looking out to where do I start, how do I go about finding this, you can log onto our website, create yourself a profile, start looking at the auctions, and then create yourself a wish list within that. And there's a watch list as well that you can create. Start seeing what those estimates are doing, and then what because as Tasha touched on before, we publish all our prices. So you can see what things are actually, what we call in this industry, realising. So you'll get a bit of a feel on what's happening in the market, and it's immediate. Like there was one, for example, where we had estimates on a Louis Vuitton trunk, and it was in celebration of the collaboration between Louis Vuitton and Manolo Blahnik. And we had the most gorgeous shoe trunk in our November live auction for those that were here last year. Gorgeous, gorgeous piece. The vendor had preserved it and really looked after it. And in effect, really hadn't used it that much. It was more a bit of a showpiece in their wardrobe. And so it came to market. We put estimates of, obviously on international guidelines as well as local. And our estimates were around that sort of 3 to 5, and it actually achieved $15,000 on the day.
I guess the key difference with stocks and investing in luxury items or art is that it's not priced daily either. You're not sitting there knowing the value of your product every day unless you do take it to an auction house and you get it valued. Whereas with stocks, you can literally every single second of every day, that share price, your investment is known, so you know the value that you're sitting on, which can actually be detrimental in itself.
I was about to say, it's almost ironic because that emotional connection you have when things go up and down, I think can be really detrimental. But you would think you have more of an emotional connection to a thing, like a bracelet or a bag. But actually, it's almost the opposite. Like you can enjoy it for a long period of time and then maybe get it valued.
Absolutely.
I think we should do some questions because
thank
I imagine.
You so much,
thank you so
Christine.
much,
That was
Christine.
amazing.
No question is a silly question. There's one in the front here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Soph and Vic. That was unbelievable. Hey, look, I'd just love to know what actually elevates the price of, say, a Birkin bag. Is it something or other like Sex in the City? Is that something or other that can like completely throw a value right out of the park? Because I can remember seeing them there and suddenly, there was a queue outside and, you couldn't buy one for about 3 years. So is it that kind of thing that kind of motivates it?
Yeah, there is. And again, within that, there is obviously what it's constructed of. the type of leather, the size, the hardware. The most ideal Birkin size out there is a 25. And so we're talking that width measurement when we refer to 25. 30, I find myself, because I'm a slightly bigger person, so I want something that's just a little bit more user-friendly. And I want to put a few extra pieces in it. I work with 2 phones these days and, so I've got a few more items to put into something. So I would be looking at a 30 in size. But yeah, it certainly comes down to what it's constructed of. Obviously, the preservation of how you look after it. And the big one with what we always say to our buyers is we're working with vendors where we don't take anything that we don't believe is going to be to a certain standard. And we've got the advantage of having a gorgeous range of clients who have the ability to buy a range within those families. And then they come to us because they might have tired of that colourway, but they generally have only used it, say, a handful of times. So the item itself is actually near new. They've looked after it because it's usually in a temperature-controlled environment. The big thing too, which I must insist, is that a Birkin will come with all that beautiful unboxing and
don't throw it out.
Don't throw it out because it is going to keep its value, but don't store it within that box.
It's like on Trade
Why?
Me.
Hold on. Why not in the box though? What happens if it's in the
Because
box?
you need that. You need the element. You need the
Does
the
air
temperature.
make it breathe or something? Oh my gosh.
Because it's been a living thing, right?
Wow.
So you've got a natural element.
been a living
to it.
thing.
Well,
So it's not like
essentially.
it's not like comics where you get them in those weird boxes and you leave them in the box. It's like take them out,
Yeah.
give them a good time, put them back. Okay. Oh my God. But I think it's a really good question. Like if you see someone like an influencer, for example, wearing a particular style, would that drive the price of
Absolutely.
that style up? Okay.
And
For
vice
sure.
versa, would it, like if, say, when Balenciaga
Justin Bieber
had that
was
terrible
having a blowout.
campaign and their brand got
Yes.
damaged.
Oh my gosh, good idea.
Should you be rushing to an auction house to sell your Balenciaga handbags because they're going to go down in value? Like, at what point do you become worried about short-term impacts to the brand or the product? Like, yeah.
It is a hard one. And I mean, there's always going to be an outside influence to all of that.
Yeah.
But always buy, as I say, buy something that you love and buy of quality and buy of a colour that you're also going to enjoy. And this is where,
Surely don't go buy an orange burqa, like you get a really chic black, white,
Birkin.
like you go for the basics.
Birkin.
That's all right. We've got some.
It's a Birkin.
What does that mean?
She's had a few.
What do you mean? It's a what?
Birkin.
I don't get it.
You said burqa.
Holy moly, I'm really sorry. Sorry. But you wouldn't go and get like a bright fluoro bag of a brand because of course it's going to stop laughing. You let it slide. Sorry, it's my bad. But you would get, is the idea that like a Chanel bag like that might not hold its value as much as a black one?
Yes and no, because again, obviously, as we know, fashion changes. So colourways come and go, and then there are certain designs as well that work better for a lot of people. So you've got to always, there is so many factors to take into account. There's not just one thing I can say to you and say, just don't go and buy that colour. It's never going to make you money,
It's like, it's fashion. Yeah. And the fashion has trends. Yeah. It's like things go in and out of fashion. Yeah. But
And
you buy the
it's fun.
classics. Yeah.
Don't
fun.
forget that.
Yeah.
There are any other questions?
Mine's just with the arts and like the prints and everything. How do you know, like, if a painting is a painting because it's a painting, but if there's like a print of a painting and it's like one of XYZ, how do you know it's a legit print and not like a fake print?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So artists will usually hand sign at the bottom of an artist's print. I think there's one behind Vic there, if you can see.
Oh, yeah, it says PP.
Yeah, well, that's another thing to think about. But yeah, artists will usually sign the print, put the title and the date, and they might put the edition of the print. So for this one, it's a printer's proof is what the PP stands for,
gotcha.
rather than the 3 of 50 that I was talking about before. Yeah, so I guess that would be, it's usually in graphite or pencil at the bottom. There are sort of reproduction prints that go around, which I guess are like a print of a painting, and they'll usually be more affordable and they're not hand signed by the artists. So I would generally say if you can find one that is hand signed and is, sort of made by the artist, that's probably a better investment rather than a kind of reproduction print.
Do you then think that the bonus of going through Webb's is that you have looked and you know that it's not Joe Blogg that signed PP at the bottom of a print? You know, like the idea that it is a genuine print.
Yeah.
It's not like
so by us sort of selling it that means we're saying this is authentic. Like we have checked it, you know, we know that it's not a photocopy or whatever.
I just know that I'd fall for a photocopy.
Same.
And it's got the squiggly PP at the bottom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, amazing. And then I find out I cake to Webb's and it's like, actually that's worth peanuts.
Yeah, but if we're selling it, that means we're confident that it is authentic. So you can be confident in buying it.
I've got a quick question. If anyone else has questions, feel free to put your hand up and we'll get the microphone to come to you. So I was given a print for my 21st birthday, which I decided to ship over to Australia. Terrible idea. And I absolutely ruined the frame. So the frame was broken. I dropped it. It's bad. But is the print still worth something if the frame is no good?
Absolutely, yes. People come to us with prints they may have purchased that aren't framed. Sometimes we might get them framed up for auction, if they're sort of worth that money. But yeah, definitely it's the artwork itself that kind of has the value. The frame is sort of an added bonus that might make it more desirable perhaps. You might rather buy a print that is framed than not framed, but really the value is in the artwork itself.
It's like buying a house that's staged versus one that's not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get the furniture.
Frame. No.
Yeah.
Also, framing's
expensive.
So expensive. I was about to say,
So
I went to get something
gutted.
framed. I was like, I actually think this print isn't really
Worth
worth that
more than
much.
the piece of art.
Yeah.
Like, gosh.
God, yeah.
Was there another question just here? Yes. Hi.
Hi, just back to the jewellery. Can you explain the difference between, I've had jewellery before that when it's valued by the insurers, it's got a nice valuation. Then when I've taken it in to, potentially look to sell, there's quite a big difference and it's lower to what so what is that about?
So there's common practice within the industry that there is essentially an insurance value associated with everything, which effectively is known like as a retail replacement value. So you can have two ways of getting your items insured. You can either choose the retail replacement value or the insurance value or a market value. You'll pay a lesser premium on a market value, but what that market value is it's in essence the intrinsic value of what that item is as it presents today. So what we look at when we see a valuation from a client is we ask them to go away and not necessarily get a retail replacement value because that's a different figure, and we're not a retailer. So we want to work at what that market value is, and then we're going to look at a certain percentage below that market to obviously put that out there to you as a buyer and make it attractive for you to place a bid.
Is it kind of the insurance companies just want you to insure the most
I know,
value
and
so that you pay a higher premium is probably...
I hope that none of you are from the insurance industry out here. But of course, there is obviously a relationship and an association with select retailers. And obviously everybody has brand partnerships these days. So there is an element, and they have to also factor in the market fluctuations as well. So you as a client isn't going to be going to get your item valued every 6 months when, core elements change. So an insurance company is going to say to you potentially, okay, I want you to come and get your items, reinsured with us every 2 years and reassessed. Because they've got those specifications already on file, it's not as such a cost involved to when you obviously go and get that replaced. But yeah, it's certainly something that they look at, and there is sort of a built-in element to that insurance price without going too far into that.
And if you get travel insurance, make sure you put that down on your travel insurance, because I have been your luxury item on your travel insurance.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Did you lose something?
Do specify.
Yes, well, I got pickpocketed with my phone, but because it was...
Your phone. You're comparing your phone to a Birkin.
Yeah. No, but it was just a good learning experience that if I ever had something of value and I was travelling, I should put that in my travel insurance because it's not covered. Yeah.
And insurance companies will generally ask you to specify anything over 2,500 is pretty much the standard.
I don't think you should be travelling with something that's worth 2,500, Like maybe you leave that at home if you're travelling. Don't you think? Oh, well, if it was me,
I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to look nice when I'm overseas.
Exactly. Let's safes around the world, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Travel and style, you know.
Yeah, travel and
Were
style.
there any last minute questions?
Just a quick art question. You mentioned printers proof. How do they relate in value to the first edition? What's more valuable?
Oh, good question.
They're kind of, I would say it's not a huge, they might be more desirable to someone buying them, like a printer's proof or an artist's proof, which is, if you're not familiar, it's sort of, I guess, like a trial proof that the printer and the artist work together to make before they decide, yes, this is the one, we're going to make 50 more. They're generally not that different from the final 50. They're just like the final test runs, I suppose. But I would say, yeah, the value that we would put on them would be not really different, to be honest. It's more about that, you know, if it's of 50, if it's of 100, if it's of 500. But someone who's looking to buy it might think, oh, it's a printer's proof. It's a bit special because there was only 2 made, between the artist and the printer. So that's kind of what I think there, yeah.
So if I was an artist and I just put PP 1 of 1, would that mean that my art would just be worth?
I've seen the things you draw. I don't think
I would say it still depends on the artist, yeah, but potentially, it would be more valuable than, your other sort of limited
good at
edition
other
of 50
things, though.
prints.
Yeah, know
that
your
you'd
skills,
made.
Vic. Know your skills.
stay in your lane, mate.
Yeah.
Is there any final questions?
I had a question about the markup on jewellery. So I know that we've all heard that, like, if you go into a jewellery shop, there's a huge markup on jewellery. How does that compare with an auction house or another source where you might buy jewellery from, and why is there such a huge markup?
Do you mean in terms of how much it costs to make something versus how much it's then sold?
Yeah, like, how do you know that what you're buying is worth, like, what its intrinsic value is versus what you're actually paying for it? How do you know?
Because I guess the design element would be quite a subjective answer to that, right? In terms of how much it would be worth.
Yes. And then not to take away from a retailer as well, because I've been a long time in retail myself. And they've got bricks and mortar, and there is definitely an element out there where everyone says, oh, jeweller makes so much money. But I personally know that they don't make that much money at the end of the day. You know, there are so many costs involved because you have got to have a certain element of knowledge behind that, and that there's a cost associated with that, with who you employ. And then obviously you've got your rents and every other associated cost with retail. The beauty with buying from us is that you're coming to us, and as I said to you before, we're looking at it from what its current market value is, and we are assessing it a little bit below that. So we don't, we have a business cost attached to us here, but when you buy with us at auction, it's so transparent as to where that money is going because you're buying at a hammer price. So be it live or online, when we talk about anything, it's hammer price. So when that gavel goes down on the day, that's essentially what we call the hammer price. On top of that hammer price, you are paying a percentage of BP, which is buyer's premium. That is essentially the money that we are taking from that transaction. And then we've got our costs outside of that.
It's like when people always complain about how much poached eggs on toast cost.
So true. You
And
can
it's
make
like,
that at
no,
home.
you're not just paying for the 2 eggs and the 2 pieces of toast. You're paying for the staff, the electricity, the rent, and all of that inflation has gone up. So, yes, you can complain about your eggs on
You
toast
can
price,
make
but
eggs on toast at home, as Mike would always say. We just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Like, we know that it's a big effort to come out, especially on a weeknight. So we hope that you've enjoyed it, and thank you so much for being here, and to all the amazing sponsors that made this happen, to Webb's, Veuve Clicquot, Batch Cocktails, Almighty, all the amazing goodies in your goodie bag. We're very grateful to be here. So thank you for coming, and we hope you learnt something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything that you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking to your friends about your salaries.
And if you liked what you heard, we would love it if you could hit the subscribe button, please.
Yes,
or
please.
better yet, leave a review. It only
nice
takes 5
one.
seconds, and it would really make our week, our year, our month.
Okay, lots of love. See you soon. Bye.